What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see, we got the truck back in the garage. I'm about to take a couple-hour road trip down to South Florida here tomorrow, actually. And the truck is in the garage because it has, I don't know if this is what they call it, this is what I call it. It's called phantom steering, pretty much, where it steers on its own until you kind of correct it and the wheel moves like this back and forth. So I fixed that problem before we had our road trip down here to Florida. There's really like three main components that cause this. I've never had a problem with death wobble or anything. That is because one of the components to correct your steering is steering geometry. Make sure your drag link and your track bar are pretty much parallel as they can be all the way until infinity, which is almost impossible, but the closer you get it, the better steering geometry that you have. So that is fixed. The second issue is a worn out steering gearbox. I do have a redhead steering gearbox in this truck, so that is brand new. That's only, I don't know, 6-7 months old probably. And the other one is your drag link ball joints. That's what connects your pitman arm, and your pitman arm is connected to your steering gearbox. So it's pretty much like a down channeling effect. And then that goes into your tie rods to push the wheels left and right. Obviously the front end on this truck is somewhat blown out. I know that the ball joints within the steering knuckle is kind of blown out. It is an old truck, has just about 100,000 miles on it. So that's coming in a later video to be able to change that out and pretty much redo the whole front end. I'm gonna be getting a kit to do the whole front end. But for today, we are going to be replacing the ball joint, well, the whole drag link pretty much, except for the inner tie rods. There is a brand new drag link on here right now. It is under warranty. I think it's my fault. I over-greased a little bit and it blew the boot out, which in turn wore out the ball joint that was in, well, that is still in there. I don't know if you can get a good picture on that, but you can see that that ball joint is blown out to an extent. It was over-greased. So it was over-greased and it did blow out, and now there's no grease in there, and it has made my steering looser. Well, that's not good. Just found that out. So that's been doing nothing. At least it stayed on there. Well, now we have two things to fix. I guess when you look under the truck, you start finding things. So this bolt completely fell off sometime or another. This blew out. This ball joint blew out. So this whole drag link is under warranty. So I'm going to do that. Alright, well, now we know. The steering dampener nut fell off. I need to find another one of those. I think I have some. I might have to get a new steering dampener. That might be an issue. Ultimately, the biggest problem is the drag link ball joint blew out. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip that off. I'll show you guys how to do that. It just disconnects from the pitman arm and then unscrews. It is a reverse thread, so be careful of that. And then we will we'll get that part off and we'll take it down to O'Reilly's and see if we can't see if we can't get that warrantied out for free, which would be nice. And then have a brand new ball joint in there and hopefully tighten up this steering, and we'll get that steering dampener nut tightened down. And while we're at O'Reilly's, we might see if they have a nice Bilstein one. I think online it did say it was special order, so I don't know if we'll be able to snag that today or not. But let's hop right into the disassembly of this and leave this truck in pieces, and we'll drive down to the store and get a new one. So I called around to a few different part shops. I have the drag link ordered. Well, so the story behind this guy is there's supposed to be a pin, which I have sitting over in my toolbox, but the pin didn't fit through the drag link, so I have a bolt in here with a bushing to hold this back up, but I don't think it was the right angle because you can see that it's all jacked up, and I'm pretty sure that, the tube is bent into the gas tube. So I gotta throw another one of these on order. I can roll with this one for a little bit I'm probably gonna have to order one from like 4 Wheel Parts or something, because they're the only ones that have Bilstein, and the whole truck is Bilstein, so we'll do that. But so we took the castle nut off of the top here, and we took out the pin, took the castle nut off. It's sitting down right there. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit this pitman arm with a big old hammer, and then this guy's gonna fall out. I'm probably just gonna pull this guy up out of the way like that and let him just hang out, and then we'll hit the pitman arm right here with a hammer, and then this drag link should fall out, and then we will undo this guy here for the tie rod section, just this one, and we'll reverse thread this guy out. I'm gonna have to soak this guy in PB Blaster because I don't know if it will hold. So let's get after it. There's the pitman arm. I just beat that with a hammer until the drag link fell out. Unbolt the stabilizer, the steering stabilizer, from that hole in the drag link. Pulled that off of the pitman arm. Right there. Pulled off that pitman arm. So now, I already undid, loosened up one bolt right there on the tie rod side, on the drag link side of the tie rod. And now, we just need to get a big ol' wrench, and we'll reverse thread this off, and then we'll take it to the store, and we should be able to warranty it. So, but there's everything. Called 4 Wheel Parts about their Bilstein setup. It is about $108 for it, but it is made for the F350s, so I might throw one of them on order. A little more expensive than that one because that guy's like $60, but it is a generic one, so it's just kind of ruined right now, so we're gonna have to get ourselves a new one. So let's reverse thread this off the tie rod side, and then we'll pull that off and we can take it to the store. As you can tell, it blew up. So, it smells like grease. But it is off, and we are ready to go take it back in to get it warrantied out. Throw a new one on, we'll straighten out the steering wheel. So the cool thing with the drag link pretty much is it doesn't mess up your alignment any, because you're not messing with the tie rods and how the tires are facing. It does mess up your steering wheel. But that's fully adjustable to be able to straighten your steering wheel back out. So it doesn't mess with your alignment, just the alignment of your steering wheel. So go wash your hands, let's go put this in the car, and then we'll head off and go see what we can't do about this drag link and the steering dampener. All right, we got the parts loaded up in the car. We are taking the spaceship today. So we got a little iPad there for me. But we're gonna head on down the road to O'Reilly's. Let's get it handled. All right, parts are acquired. We got the new drag link, and they had an OE steering dampener in there in stock. Good thing they had an OEM steering dampener in stock, and they warrantied out my drag link, so I only had to pay $72 for everything. So with that being said, let's head on back to the house and let's do reinstallation and pray to God it works. I think I worked so hard today I earned myself a beer, so I'll probably do that as well. See you back at the house. Alright, so change of plans on the steering dampener. O'Reilly's had one in stock, pretty much an OEM one. It is a reman OEM, but about half the price of the Bilstein one, and it has a lifetime warranty, so that's always a plus. So that's a big plus. And now we're just gonna do reinstallation. I'll try and set the camera up as best I can to be able to show this. But once I get done installing it, if it's not very good footage, I'll still put it in the video, but I will also explain at the end. So let's get into reinstalling this drag link. We'll get it working. Get this truck driving again. Cool thing with the new drag link is it does come with a grease fitting and a new pin, so that's always good. So take out this castle nut, and there is our new ball joint. It is not greased, as you can see, because there is no grease fitting in the back, but it is a lot tighter than what was on there prior. So that right there is the issue to why my steering wheel is going left to right, is because this is so tight and the other one's not. The other one was loose. So let's put the grease fitting in this, and then I'll open up the steering dampener and we'll get to work. At this point, when I have the drag link almost threaded all the way into where it should be, I'm going to go inside and make sure the wheel of the truck is straight so that it's not canted off when I go to install this drag link. So I'm going to make sure that wheel is straight in the truck, and then we'll finish cranking it in all the way and slide it into the pitman arm. I had the drag link installed on the pitman arm with a loose nut on top, and it's going down into the tie rod right over here. So now what we're going to do, since I have the wheel straight and the tie rod in the pitman arm, or the drag link in the pitman arm, I'm going to tighten up that nut over there for the, I'm going to tighten up that nut right there for the drag link so it won't turn anymore, and then place this collar down onto, well, in between that. Here we go. Alright, so ultimately, obviously you want to use the correct parts, right? And when I was coming down here to Florida and I was doing a road trip, they didn't have any of the correct parts I needed in stock, so I made some work. So this is also why there was rattling and my steering wheel was loose. I'll show you. This is what happens when you use the wrong parts. Things start to get mangled. All these bushings just exploded. But this is the worst part. This was attached to the actual frame of the truck, and this piece was attached to the drag link. And I had this go through it to hold it for the time being, and this is where the nut came off this guy, so that kind of sucks. But it's still on here. It was still on here, not that big of a deal. But you can see if we can get this to focus. You see that bend in there? That is not supposed to be like that. That is supposed to be straight flat metal. So the drag link, every time you would turn, this bolt would turn itself, and that's what made this nut come off of this bolt. So use the correct parts, or else you'll end up like that. And we don't want that. So I have a brand new OEM stabilizer, and it comes with the correct mounting parts to go inside of the drag link and inside of the shock, with all the washers, bolts, and lock washers, and all of your bushings. So do your research and make sure you have the correct parts before you install, or if you're in a pinch, you can make parts work like I did, but just know it is going to wear everything else out, because since that steering stabilizer wore out, it wore out my drag link, so now I had to get a new one. So let's go ahead and get this stabilizer set up. I am going to reuse the Rancho boot so I can make sure that no dust gets into my gas seal. Alright, so we got the drag link installed, the new ball joint and cotter pin in, torqued down. We got the new steering dampener on, torqued down. I'll show you. Alright, there's the new ball joint, drag link ball joint with the new steering dampener tightened down. It has the correct fittings on it now, and it is put up in there. So we're tightened down over there as well. And we're set to go here. So now, let's make sure our steering wheel is straight as an arrow. So we are good to go on this aspect. We are completely tightened up. We are done. Now it's time for cleanup. We should be good to go on the steering wobble now that the ball joint is good and the old steering dampener is out that was busted, and we have the proper fittings in there. We are good to go. So I'm gonna start the truck, back it out, back into its spot, see how it feels, and then we'll make sure everything is tight. We'll clean it up, we'll call it a day. Alright, so I pulled the truck out, and when I installed the steering dampener on it, showed you what the old one looked like, and that was going to happen again to this one because I'm stupid and I didn't realize that, well, I'm dumb, and the truck was lifted before I bought it, and I leveled it out. As you can see, looks beautiful. But I leveled the truck out and brought it down, and I replaced a whole bunch of drop brackets and everything, but the one I didn't think about was the steering stabilizer bracket. That was so the lift kit that was on the truck prior was a FabTech like 8-inch lift, and that is what I took off the truck, and I didn't think it was going to make that much of a difference with a steering stabilizer bracket, and I didn't think about it at the time, so it was wrong, and that's why it ruined that stabilizer that I had. But I had some time to sit and think, and I looked up OEM brackets, and I called a bunch of Ford dealerships, and the Ford dealership said that part is obsolete and discontinued, so I can't get it even if I want it, and they didn't give me any part number or anything, so I don't know what I'm looking for necessarily. So I modified the stabilizer bracket that is on the truck. It was giving it too much of an angle, so when you put it in and you were driving around, it would bend that end piece. So what I did is I took my torch and I heated up right here, and then I got the longest wrench that I own and I put it on there, the biggest crescent that I have, put it on there, sat on that side of the truck, and used my feet to pry it back this way to straighten it out so it won't happen with this again. So now this is straight in there with the bushings, so this should theoretically never bend again. Well, this piece should never bend again, but I'm in search for an OEM bracket right here to see if that, to fix this, make it OEM again. But now we have a new stabilizer in attached to the drag link with the proper fittings, and then I bent this bracket to be able to fit this in here because you weren't able to even get it close. It was sitting like 90 degrees that way. So just goes to show, with a little hard work, dedication, you'd be able to get to where you need to be to make it work for the time being. Because I'm taking about a 3-hour trip tomorrow, well, 6-hour round trip pretty much tomorrow, to be able to unload some washers and dryers. The truck is done. Super simple install if you ever have any issues steering. I call it phantom steering. I don't know what everybody else calls it. I've just been calling that forever, so I just stick with that. Later on down the road, I'm going to do a full front end rebuild on this. All the stuff is still good. I took the wheels off of the weight of the truck, and I was shaking the wheels, and everything is still tight. I was shaking the all the areas with the ball joint to make sure that there was no play in the ball joints back and forth. So everything's good there for now, but it is a truck that has 100,000 miles on it on original parts, so it is about time for everything to be changed back over. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's supported this channel. We're almost at 200 subscribers, and that's a huge milestone for me. Last I checked, I was at 192 subscribers. I'd like to get to 200 by the end of this month. That would be awesome. Obviously, the more subscribers we get, the more fun stuff we can do on this channel, so I really appreciate every one of you sticking around and watching this video till the end. You guys are the main source of this channel and the main soul of it. Let me know down in the comments what kind of content you guys would like to see. I got some big stuff coming to be able to do some customization and all that. Be able to start building up the shop to be able to work on cars more efficiently and everything like that. So thank you everybody for sticking around. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.